This is the Tyler Morgan Show on Relentless Daring Media Network.
Welcome to the land of bourbon and bad decisions, where the nights are long and the truth cuts deep. Voices rise against the tide with clear intentions, in the place where freedom never sleeps. Echoes of the past in the halls of tomorrow. The light will chase away the whispers of sorrow. Stand tall, never bow, the fight's just beginning. With every word, the fire keeps on spinning. That walking battle, mess of the nation, raising the flag of the system. Through the storm, the fire burns bright. On the edge of reason, we defend our rights. Whoa.
Welcome back to the land of bourbon and bad decisions. This is the Tyler Morgan Show, live on twitch.tv/Tyler Morgan Show, or maybe you're checking this out later, YouTube. YouTube will have it, youtube.com/@the Tyler Morgan Show. Why the at or the, I'm not sure. It's just YouTube's rules, and I have to abide by them. You also check this out on podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, the Amazon Music, Audible. Basically, if it's a podcast platform, there's a high likelihood you will be finding the show wherever you're choosing to watch or listen. Be sure to subscribe, hit bells for notifications, and be sure to comment, rate, and review. Also, don't feel bad to reach out to me on the social medias, on the Twitters at Fake Tyler Morgan. You can find me there and hit me up. Be fun times. But before I get into the wild and wacky news of the week, I do need to talk about some people who help carry me through this. They don't pay me to talk about them. However, I do talk about them because I like their products, and I think that you should also like their products and send them your money. First of all, I got to talk to you about coffee. Yes, that's right. My favoriteest beverage in the world, coffee. I know I've got a wonderful little glass of Michter's right here that I'm sipping on as I do the show, but coffee is what gets me through the day. And normally at work, I'm subjected to complete and utter swill. But while I'm at home, I do enjoy wonderful brews from American Pride Roasters. American Pride Roasters has an amazing lineup of coffees. If whether you like to get the coffee flavored coffees, like I prefer, if you like some of the flavored coffees, check out their lineup of those two. Go to aprcoffee.com, or if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to also hit that QR code there in the corner. I guess I need to go lean that way, nod my head towards it. Still haven't figured out where's which way on the screen when I'm on this side of it. But yeah, American Pride Roaster. Like I said, I prefer the coffee flavored coffee. So, my favorites, the Teddy Roosevelt, the George Washington, Frederick Douglass, the Calvin Coolidge blend, the Thomas Paine Age of Reason remix. It is 100% Robusta beans. I know Robusta gets a kind of a tough sell with the coffee snobs, but it's a great flavored coffee. Check it out. American Pride Roasters, historically great coffee. All right. So getting into the wild and wacky news of the week, we are on day 11, going into day 12 of the government shutdown. And the world hasn't stopped. I mean, yeah, it's made things a little difficult for my wife's business because she runs a kiosk on Fort Leonard Wood selling to troops. And it's been a little rough for the past week or so because, people have been short on cash, and we get that. But generally speaking, we haven't seen airplanes falling out of the sky. We haven't seen the mail stop running. Pardon me. Uh, yeah, it's all in all, the government is still doing like 83% of what the government has been doing. And, we have seen a number of federal employees who have been furloughed. People obviously didn't get paid on the first, unless they have a bank that pays a day early. Then maybe they lucked out. I don't know. I know my VA disability came in, but I can't say for troop pay, retirees, and all that. But Donald Trump has come up with a plan so we can at least, pay the troops. I mean, I'm all about, making sure people who are working for the government and they aren't getting furloughed, they're still going to work. Air traffic controllers, military, uh, any sort of, U.S. government security job. These are people who are still working and should still be getting paid. And so I think there should always be have a contingency bill. That way, should a funding bill get shot down, causing a government shutdown, those that are declared as essential employees who still need to go to work despite the government shutdown say, okay, well, we're not funding the government. So, all right, here's this bill, which all it does is it will continue to pay these essential employees who will not be furloughed, your air traffic controllers, your government security, your military, government firefighters, what have you. The essential employees will get paid. I think that's only fair. But right now, as the government has shut down for the last 11 days, all because Republicans do not want to extend the expansion of Obamacare. Yeah, it's all of this about all this talk about it has just been absolutely mind-boggling. And see if I can get my phone to unlock so I can read the story for the news. All right, so pay our troops. Trump unveils creative solution to minimize military shutdown plan. All right, so I'm using my authority as commander in chief, Trump said. President Donald Trump is implementing a temporary solution to minimize the pain inflicted on American servicemen during the Democrat induced government shutdown. Trump announced Saturday that he has identified funds for Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to use to ensure that American troops don't miss a paycheck on October 15th. This action comes after the Senate reached a stalemate, sending lawmakers home until votes resume Tuesday. With no end to the shutdown in sight, Trump decided to take matters into his own hands. Chuck Schumer recently said every day gets better during the radical left shutdown, Trump wrote in a Truth Social post on Saturday. I disagree. If nothing is done because of leader Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, our brave troops will miss the paychecks that are rightfully due on October 15th. That is why I'm using my authority as Commander-in-Chief to direct our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to use all available funds to get our troops paid on October 15th. We have identified funds to do this, and Secretary Hegseth will use them to pay our troops. Democrats allowed government funding to lapse past the September 30th deadline, refusing to pass Republican-led continuing resolution. Although spending fights have turned partisan in the past, Republicans simply proposed a clean 90-page CR that kept funding levels at the same rates that Democrats voted for in the past. Their bill had no partisan line items, with the only anomaly being a bipartisan boost in security funding for politicians following Charlie Kirk's assassination. On the other hand, Democrats proposed a $1.5 trillion funding bill that is chock full of ideological provisions aimed at reversing the legislative accomplishments Republicans secured during the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Oh, it's always a fun time. Democrats have also attempted to make the spending fight about renegotiating Obama era healthcare subsidies, although they don't expire until the end of the year. I will not allow Democrats to hold our military and the entire security of our nation hostage with their dangerous government shutdown, Trump said. Radical left Democrats should open the government. Then we can work together to address healthcare and many other things they want to destroy. Thank you for the attention to this matter. Yeah, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on. Which thank you, Donald Trump, for attempting to find a way to keep the troops paid. Because, these aren't just single soldiers living in the barracks. These are married soldiers who live on and off post. And whoever manages post housing, Balfour Betty, any of them, they understand that they're not going to collect that BAH because soldiers ain't getting paid. But you know who doesn't understand that? The landlords for single soldiers who are authorized to live off post, married soldiers who live off post with their families. They go, okay, yeah, we understand you're not getting paid, but your rent's still due. Soldiers who need to buy groceries to feed themselves and their families. That still needs to happen. And supposedly they're drawing money to pay the troops out of R&D funding that has not been spent yet. Like, it's been allocated to the Pentagon to pay for research and development, has not been spent. And so that's where they're going to draw the money to pay the troops, which, hey, I'm all for it. Keep them paid. I mean, do we really need to pay a crap ton more money to Rand and Raytheon and insert government defense contractor here to do more research? They can put it on pause. But, yeah, all this coming down to, the whole Obamacare subsidy thing. And this has brought up a lot of interesting perspectives. Fredward P. Wellman, you might know him on the Twatters. He is a former Republican turned Democrat, which this is like the person who, I was a Christian, but now I'm an atheist because blah, 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 blah reasons. It's like, well, I don't think you're ever really a Christian if you're denouncing all this stuff, because I'm pretty sure you probably never really believed it. You said some words and you went along and you did some things, but you continued to live in a lifestyle that was contrary to Christianity, or you wanted to live that lifestyle that was contrary to Christianity. I apologize for my dog being an asshole right outside the door. But, anyways, back to Fred Wellman. He's running for Congress for Missouri's 2nd District. That is not my district. However, in a video on the Ticky Tax, he was talking about how in Missouri, we're going to have to spend like $67 million for compliance measures to initiate and carry out the welfare work requirement program. Or not welfare, Medicaid work requirements. And it's like, It's like, I was really confused because when you apply for Medicaid, they do this thing during the process where they evaluate your eligibility based on your income. So, so if you're the working poor and you are making whatever cutoff line is for for the maximum allowable income to receive Medicaid, which, hey, I get it. Sometimes a person can only work a part-time job because they have a they collect Social Security disability, but they're still working age, and because they work a part-time job, they do not qualify for benefits, so they need the Medicaid. Okay, okay, I that's fair. That's fair. I'm not going to denigrate someone who's doing the best they can to provide for themselves or their family, so they have to draw Medicaid. But you're still working, you're still doing what you can to, you know, participate in society. You're not just a homebody sitting on the couch, you know, getting fat and sassy, eating bonbons and Cheetos. Got it. You know, my son's girlfriend, she has Tourette's and she collects Social Security disability because even with medication, she can't work a full-time job. And so now she can only work so many hours a week. I don't have a problem with her collecting Medicaid. She has a disability. She qualifies. But all that to the side. So she so because she has a disability and because she is working, for her Medicaid. So if you're already doing this, why why is it suddenly, oh my God, the these all these people who are working on and have Medicaid, how are they supposed to do it? And we're going to spend all this money. It's like they're already verifying their work status, and the ones who would be granted an exception to the work uh, to the work requirement, um, they're already going to have that documentation on hand. And some of the arguments they're making is so well the administrative process, like the administrative process, they're going to be put on hold for a really long time, and they'll just give up, and then they'll never follow through, or they'll have to schedule all these appointments really far out, and those lose interest. Like, holy, holy soft bigotry of low expectations, Batman. Are you saying poor people lack the fortitude to ensure this gets done? Yeah, I've been working poor before. Yeah, I need to keep hammering something to ensure that it gets taken care of, to collect a benefit, to see about a job, to you know follow up with a charity for for some aid. I've had to do it. There, trust me, people aren't just going to get mad and not participate and fall off the rolls because of an alleged hoop they have to jump through. This is all speculation. There's nothing even written in stone about what will have to go through, for compliance measures. Because, like I said, if they're the working poor and they're getting Medicaid, they're already submitting their tax returns. They're submitting pay stubs. They're submitting bank statements that show here's when I got paid. Here's when I deposited my paycheck. Here's how much my paycheck is. Boom, boom, boom. It's already done. It's like the argument about voter ID laws and, well, how do you register to vote? And how do you get your real ID and all that? It's like, oh my God. If you look at what you needed to get a real ID in the state of Missouri, I don't know what other states had to do, to meet the real ID requirements from the federal government. But in the state of Missouri, here's what you had to have to get a driver's license or a state issued ID before real ID. You had to have your birth certificate. Okay, cool. You had to have your social security card. Okay, got it. Did you get married and have a name change? Have your marriage license. Did you get a divorce and go back to your original name? Okay, you have to have a divorce decree. It really got that retarded. And if you got married a second time, guess what? You had to have that next marriage license. And you had to have a piece of mail showing your residence. Okay, cool. And then if you legally change your name, you have to have like for whatever reason, you were born with the name Richard Head, and you don't want to be known as Dick Head for the rest of your life. So you change either your first name or your last name in order to no longer be known as Dick Head. Okay, cool. So you have that with you. So you have those are the stuff you need for a regular driver's license or a state ID prior to the real ID mandate. And then the mandate goes into effect. You have to have all this stuff, same as before. But you had to add to it a second piece of mail, such as a credit card statement, bank statement, utility bill, stuff like that, to verify your address. Or if you have a passport, you have your passport and the two pieces of mail to verify your residence. Yeah, it got so freaking difficult. Same thing was going to happen with the work requirements. Take that, Fredward. And also, he got into and how hard is it going to be after the end of 2026 when all the Obamacare subsidies, they just go away. Oh my God. No, they're not just going away. You see, let's look at the timeline of insurance and the premiums getting out of control. So way back when, 2009, and I know, how old were you in 2009? I was like, I don't know, 5. in 2009. I just aged really badly. But 2009, the Affordable Care Act is passed. And then when it goes into effect, the price of healthcare, actually, before it even went into effect, the price of healthcare was already going up. I should know. I was shopping for health insurance in 2009 when it passed. And when I was first shopping for it, I was seeing like $400 a month. Oh, that's not so bad. I was a little on the pricey side for us, but because my wife had a job with health insurance was a benefit. I had a job where I was the only employee, and so there wasn't a big incentive to have a group health policy when you have a group of one. So I was looking at my own insurance. Okay, it's a little on the pricey side, but maybe we could do it. Affordable Care Act passes, and then immediately the health insurance companies who helped write Obamacare and they helped craft the system for who gets the subsidies and who don't. They immediately raise the prices. Why is that? I'll tell you why that is, because when they raise the prices across the board, if you qualify for the subsidy, you're going to get this nice, affordable, low rate. Cool beans. That's awesome. Good on you. But the difference between your $100 a month and $1,200 a month for that policy, that $1,000 is paid by the federal government. Where it used to be based off the population and your age and how many people have a health plan from this company, and that would adjust the rates. Now it's just like, oh, we're just going to arbitrarily set a number, and if the federal government gives us a thumbs up, guess what? We'll just kind of just jack it up a little bit. If that sounds like a familiar scheme to you, that's because that's what colleges did with tuitions, with the advent of Sally Mae and federally subsidized student loans. Because it used to be if you wanted to get a student loan to go to college, because you can't use your brain as collateral. So if you go to college on student loans and you either fail out and then don't pay them back, or you graduate and don't pay them back, they can ding your credit, they can send it to collections, but they can't, again, repossess your brain or repossess your college degree, because they can't get their money back at auction with your brain or your college degree. But so it was really difficult to get student loans. If you were getting a loan, you typically went through your local bank and said, "Hey, I want to go to college." And then the bank would look at your credit, and they would make you apply with showing with your transcripts to go, okay, he did really well in high school and he does have money set aside, and his parents do X, Y, and Z, and they're co-signing on this student loan. This looks like a safe investment for us that we can loan X amount of money for the semester, and we will get that money paid back. I mean, made sense. Or if you got accepted to college, but you weren't deemed a safe risk for a loan, you did like a lot of other students did before you, and you got a job. You went and how did you pay? How did you pay for staying in that dorm room for your first 2 semesters or the entire time you're in college? Got a job. That job paid for your room. It paid for your books. It paid for you to either eat in your room or to use the student dining facilities. It paid for your books. It paid your tuition. All of it. And so graduating college without a crap ton of debt because, there was time you could go to Harvard, for $25,000 for 4 years. Now you look at $25,000 for a semester. Harvard used to be as easy to get into. Well, I mean, not as easy to get into, but as affordable as many state schools. But through Sally Mae, oh, you mean anyone can get a loan? Pretty much no questions asked. Oh crap. Hey, how about we're gonna try something here, guys. All right, everybody, we're gonna raise our tuitions 5%, and we'll see what happens. Tuitions all go up 5%, and then suddenly, oh my God. Look at all these students who got student loans and they're paying the tuition that we're asking for. Hey, next time we'll go up another 5%. And this kept going, raising tuitions because students still ask for loans. The federal government says, issue that loan. We've got it backed. Now you have people who graduate from college with useful degrees. I'm not going to say all of them are useless, useful degrees that will spend, 15, 20 years paying them back. Granted, they're making the minimum payments. And, yep, they get caught up with spend all this money on house and cars and keeping up with the Joneses and, you know, $40,000 in credit card debt. But yeah, okay, maybe there's a reason. Maybe you didn't need to buy the $300,000 McMansion. Maybe you would have been fine with the, you know, $80,000 ranch home for you and your wife and your dog. You didn't need the 8-bedroom McMansion. I'm just saying. But yeah, all of this going on through government scheming with the insurance cartels, because basically what they are, they're a cartel. And so insurance rates go up because they know all these people who qualify for subsidies, they're going to get paid. And if they lose a certain portion in the middle of who qualifies and who doesn't, it's fine. That middle ground they can fall off. They make too much for Medicaid. They make too much to qualify for the subsidies, but they don't make enough to afford it. And then so that band is actually kind of small. Fast forward to COVID during Biden, 2021. During the Biden administration, Congress passed part of their COVID relief funds, and part of that was an expansion of the subsidies for Obamacare. Okay, cool, I guess. Want people to be able to afford to go to the doctor if they get COVID and it turns bad. Okay, makes sense. Then the Green New Deal goes through. I'm sorry, it wasn't the Green New Deal. It was essentially everything in the Green New Deal, but it was the Inflation Reduction Act. And what better way to reduce inflation than by authorizing a crap ton of spending by the government where they just start printing money? Because that would never devalue the dollar, ever, ever, ever. In the history of the dollar, would that ever do that, ever? But they pass it. And when they pass it, one of the big things that happened was it expanded from 400% of the poverty line. So if you make 4 times more than what the official poverty line is, you qualify for the subsidy. And they basically opened it to everybody. Oh, you make X amount of money per year? Cool. You qualify for a subsidy. You qualify for a subsidy. You qualify for a subsidy. And so now everyone, I forget what the actual expansion percentage was, but you have this giant flooding of the market of people who can suddenly afford the, to get insurance because they qualify for the subsidy. And then what happens? The insurance company says, oh, crap balls. Look at all these people getting the subsidy. Raise the rates, raise the rates, raise the rates, raise the rates. And so now the rates have gone through the roof. Why? Because they're getting free money from the freaking government. And so now in 2026, the expansion is getting ready to sunset at the end of 2025. So January 1st, hey, all of this spending on Obamacare subsidies, guess what? It's going back to the 2014 rate, the 2014 rules. So now, 2014 rules, that means everyone who's making above 400% of the poverty line will now be cut off from subsidy. And they're going to get slammed with the difference. And I said this on a TikTok responding to old Fredward P. Wellman. This is what you call a broken window scam. The initial window is an issue. Now, maybe someone broke that window on purpose to initiate the scam. Perhaps a little kid playing out in the road, playing stickball, knocks a rock through your window. And then here comes Mr. Glazier, who's going to come and fix your window. And while he's working on it, oh shoot, I accidentally broke this window next to it. Look, I will fix it. I broke it. I'm only going to charge you this much for it. I'm just going to charge you at cost, which is still a markup from what he's actually paying for the glass and his base rate on labor. Okay, cool. The window I asked you to fix, and then the one you accidentally broke, they're both fixed. I spent this much money, whatever. And then next thing you know, you see the glazier out there. Give me a kid $5, and the kid goes and he broke a window in somebody else's house. And Mr. Glazier just happens to be in the area and he sees the unfortunate accident of the window getting broke and offers for his services. And it's just a scam. That's what the Democrats did with Obamacare. They created a broken window scam. Yes, healthcare was expensive. Health insurance did cost, but they created a system where now you have to keep paying for all the broken windows because your house ain't going to have no damn windows. The glazier is still just going to be making money hand over fist, and keep the windows are going to keep getting broken, but no one wants to deal with the freaking crooked glazier. That's what's going on here. No one wants to deal with the actual issues. Why does health care cost so much? And you can break it down and you can get an analysis from medical institutions. And there are some arcane laws and there are some pretty self-serving laws written by medical groups, the American Medical Association, the American College of Pediatrics, you name it. The lobbyists have made written rules to keep everything murky for the everyday person that they operate in, and they use to they use to make it find reasons to be able to do stuff that normally you and I would find to be a scam. Oh, the one Tylenol you gave me after I broke my leg and I was waiting on the x-rays to get read cost me $50 and they're allowed to do it. And like I said, it's there are underlying issues. I'm not going to deny that. That would be dumb. That would be disingenuous and intellectually dishonest to me to not acknowledge that there were issues prior to Obamacare. But again, that glazier who keeps breaking things, politicians and the medical industry and the insurance industry, they created a fix that now it's been expanded and then expanded some more and expanded a lot more, that suddenly it's going to crash the system if it's allowed to sunset. That is where all this money Democrats are trying to get, is to keep this program going because, oh, we rigged the system to make you guys look like assholes if you let it expire. You can't let it expire. Oh no. I mean, it's a joke. It's a sham. It's complete ridiculousness. And the fact that no one wants to call all that out, except for a few on the right. The left won't call it out because either they're being intentionally obtuse and ignoring it, or they've allowed themselves to be completely blinded by all the other issues around healthcare, that they won't look behind the curtain at what caused the healthcare uh, that was supposed to be fixed with Obamacare to continue to be broken, if not broken worse. Tis stupid. Oh, right. Some of the other things I had on here to talk about. Do do do. All right, so all right, I want to talk about this piece from Maureen Dowd for New York Times. You see, people are mad that a freedom fighter in Venezuela got the Nobel Peace Prize and Donald Trump didn't. And okay, so looking at someone who in 2024, 2023, 2024 got, speaking out against Hugo Chavez and, well, I guess he'd been dead for a while, Nicolas Maduro, and all the stupid going on there. You know, making herself a pretty big public target. Going after the communist dictator like that. Got the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. And I think Donald Trump should be nominated because he's helped broker peace deals in 7 different wars this year alone. He's helped end conflict through, especially in the Far East, the Near East, Western or Eastern Europe. It's a big deal. And he's also helped bring about this peace deal between Israel and Gaza. Hamas has agreed to it. Israel's agreed to it. So time will tell that it works. But Maureen Dowd, this is an opinion piece she wrote for the New York Slimes. Peace in Trump's time, except here. Opinion columnist reporting from Washington, Maureen Dowd. This is one piece of gold that President Trump is never going to get his short, stubby fingers on. An 18-karat gold medal with 3 naked men embracing, awarded to those who promote peace, democracy, and human rights. The Nobel Peace Prize has been given to some buttes, like Henry Kissinger, for helping end the Vietnam War he perpetuated to aid Richard Nixon's re-election. But the prize is not designed for someone like Trump. The Norwegian Nobel Committee would no doubt discontinue the award before it would be given to him. His longing is partly inspired by his jealousy of Barack Obama, who absurdly got a Nobel Prize after only 8 months in office for just being a cool dude. Thank you, Maureen Dowd, for getting that one right. Our 79-year-old president admitted recently that he also envies Obama for the way he airily bopped down the stairs of Air Force One while he himself has to slowly creep down, grasping the railing, worried that he'll fall and look as unsteady as Joe Biden. Yeah, dude, I'm 41 years old. I can barely freaking walk. You know what? I am also jealous that Barack Obama, who, when he was elected, how old was Barack Obama when he was elected? I had to Google this. Barack Obama age when elected president. 47. All right. So at 47, being 6 years older than I currently am, so he would have been what? 55 when Donald Trump won his first election. And at 55, he could bop airily down the stairs, as Maureen Dowd put it. Bruh, I'm jealous that he could do that at 55. My body's falling the freak apart. I could barely get out of bed in the mornings and walk across the room without having to grab, dressers, the post on the 4-post bed, all that. I use the handrails when going downstairs because my left ankle might decide that it's done for the day and I don't want to go rolling down the freaking stairs. All right, so back to Maureen Dowd. Do. I find the right thing. I've always thought we were lucky that Trump was not more prone to invasions, a la his fellow draft dodger Dick Cheney. Oh my God. They love this line of attack. Donald Trump was a draft dodger. Well, okay, he had college deferments. See, who else had college deferments who was just serving his. Oh, Joe Biden. Joe Biden had college deferments. And then he also magically, a football player all through high school and through one season of his time at the University of Delaware, where he suddenly, after that one season, well, you do have asthma, but it's, we're going to classify you as like 1Y, I think it was. We will only call you up to serve in National Guard if we really need people in the National Guard. And then after he graduated from college, his medical classification suddenly became 4F, ineligible to serve. Huh. I wonder how that happened. The asthma that, well, it's not so bad. You can still serve as a reservist or National Guard in the advent of needing that. To, oh my God. And also, he was an athlete all through high school. He was an athlete all through, well, through that first year of college, and then suddenly he's not an athlete anymore, and his asthma is so bad that they have to get a medical classification, means he can only be drafted to the reserves and serve stateside. And then once his college deferments are over, weird. A doctor has declared that he is too asthmatic to serve, period. Where Donald Trump, he was an athlete through high school. He played like one season of college ball. Actually, I don't even think he played any college ball. Because he went straight to Wharton. So I don't think he even played college ball, but after his high school career, where he played some football, he's a hell of a baseball player, from my understanding. And he got, you know, after graduating from the military academy, he was then diagnosed with bone spurs. And then he proceeded to get the same college deferments that Joe Biden did. But, consistent with having a sports induced injury, he stopped playing sports. Believe me, it doesn't take much to develop bone spurs in your heels, in your feet. I should know. I started developing them rather quickly when I was in the Army. Like, I've had lots of foot x-rays through high school and, as an adult post high school going before active duty. And I didn't have bone spurs. But suddenly, after nearly completing infantry school, I have x-rays done on my feet and, weird, I have bone spurs. I still got them. They contribute to some really nasty plantar fasciitis at times. That's when the soft tissues in the bottom of your feet, especially the heel area, that plantar region of the foot, gets all inflamed and painful. It's hard to walk on. Yeah, but so it is possible that the impact of playing baseball and other sports did cause him to develop bone spurs, and then that's the reason why he didn't play anymore. I mean, it's not a far leap. And yeah, Fred Trump did have access to money and doctors, but you know, if you are going to college and you get in tight with the medical staff, you might not have to have access to someone who will take extra money to write you off, to write a diagnosis that will get you medically disqualified. If you have a hippy dippy anti-war doctor at your local university that you can go to for free, and they think that they are doing their part to keep a student from going off to die in a pointless war, they will do the same letter for another person, even if they're not getting money for it. It's so stupid. Maureen Dowd, she goes on to basically, because Trump is a bombastic loudmouth, and because he's so divisive here in the States, and it's his fault that Antifa is burning stuff down. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's his fault for the violent outbursts of the left in this country. He should never get the Nobel Peace Prize. If he brings peace to the Middle East, I mean, we saw that he got through the Abraham Accords in his first term. Yeah, you had Israel initiating diplomatic relations and trade agreements with Saudi freaking Arabia, the home of Wahhabi Islam, the home of Osama bin Laden, the home of lots of guys who are really fond of saying death to Israel and death to the great Satan, the United States, and death to the little Satan, Israel. I mean, yeah, just because the left acts like clowns here in the States, and they're little, we're fighting the fascists. Yeah, you're a freaking commie. Eat a sausage. Actually, you know what? You probably should eat a sausage, because that vegan lifestyle is just, you're pale, you're pasty, you have this soda can has a bigger diameter than your entire upper arm and your thigh combined. Eat some meats and some natural animal fats. It will be good for you, Mr. Antifa. They model themselves after these German communists because, yeah, Antifa is a real thing. It's not just an idea, like Jerry Nadler, man who wipes his ass every time he puts his pants on because his belt's up around his shoulder blades. It's not just an idea. It's not just a loose collection. They have social media groups where they post about meetings when Rose City Antifa is going to meet again in Portland. I mean, they're organized, they're paid for, they have a hierarchy. They just don't show it in public, and they're ruthless. I was maybe tomorrow afternoon if I have time. I'll do an episode on this whole all these John Brown clubs, which, oh my God, these people are so stupid. They do not realize that John Brown would pop them right in the face because of their beliefs. But I might look more into that. It's getting so insane about the iconography the left uses. But yeah, Maureen Dowd is just she has nothing to contribute other than Donald Trump bad. Donald Trump doesn't deserve this because I don't like Donald Trump. And even though the left has instituted sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, and they're not going to enforce federal law, they're not going to assist federal law enforcement from enforcing the federal laws. Donald Trump bad because he's sending in National Guard troops and active duty Marines to protect federal facilities. That's martial law. No, it's not, you freaking tard. It is not martial law. Martial law is when the military takes over civil law enforcement, not standing out in front of a federal facility that's getting attacked with Molotov cocktails, you dumb son of a snitch. Whew. I don't have to stop there, or else Maureen Dowd's going to have me have to put language warning on this episode. But yeah, if I get time tomorrow, I'll do a standalone episode on these whole John Brown gun clubs and how all these LGBTQIA2 plus ad infinitum people suddenly think that their communism and their heteronormative lifestyles. Oh, excuse me. These homonormative lifestyles would be accepted and stood up for by John Brown, a man who used the Bible to justify killing people who owned other people. And you think John Brown would be on your side, the side that advocates for a system of socioeconomic and government systems that has done nothing but enslave people to the state, not to an individual person, the government, the party. And you think John Brown would be on your side, you stupid, stupid SOBs. Whew. All right, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for joining me. If you were here for the live, if you were not here for the live, hey, it's cool. Hanging out when you can. It's awesome. I got it. Checking this out on your schedule. It's cool. Again, if you're checking this out on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications, do all the things that I don't have the graphics and the sound effects to go sis, boom, bang.
No, you look like an idiot.
That wasn't very nice, Mr. Producer.
No, you look like an idiot.
I know I said the wrong thing. Stop it. You're being mean. I'm going to go to bed and cry. Anyways, if you're checking this out on the podcast, be sure to do the same 4 things I ask every week. Please, number 1, be sure to subscribe or follow whatever your podcast platform calls it. After you've done that, please rate the show. I'm looking for 5 stars. I'll accept 4, 3 and below. We need to have a chat. Hit me, slide into my DMs on Twitter at Fake Tyler Morgan, and you tell me why you think I deserve 3 stars or less. And if you're nice about it, it'll be cool because I want to make the show better. And if I can improve it for one person, maybe it'll improve it for more people. So, yeah, after you have rated it, write a review, say something nice about the show. That way, as the algorithm shows it to other people, they read the reviews and go, okay, people generally like this guy. They like his content. That's cool, except for that guy. That guy was a jerk. So I've talked about myself too much and want to be next Alex Jones. I don't want to be Alex Jones. I want to be sued for $1 billion and never make money again in my life. Once you have subscribed, rated, and reviewed. Please be sure to share this episode or link to the podcast in general, or hell, share the link to the YouTube channel. Either way, share it. It'll be helpful. And you will be totally awesome in my book if you do any of that. So thank you so much for listening. And as always, stay relentless. The Tyler Morgan Show is a Relentless Daring Media production. The Tyler Morgan Show is supported by its listeners. To support the show, go to ko-fi.com/Tyler Morgan Show to donate there, or relentlessdaring.com and hit the donate button at the top of the page to set up your donation. All music used in the Tyler Morgan Show is used with permission from purpleplanet.com, link in the show notes. 2 Timothy 1:7.